So I like to constantly move my fondant while I'm rolling it, and this is for a couple reasons. There's nothing more frustrating than getting your fondant all rolled out and finding out that you're actually stuck to the counter. But also it helps you just get a more even roll. So if you're a little short on one side, don't worry too much about that. Now, if you're drastically short on one side, that's something to worry about. But you want to use the stretch of the fondant to your advantage. And I know this is really hard to see, and it's really hard for me to do toward the camera for you. But you're really kind of stretching, and you don't want to pull too hard because you don't want to crack. Now, if you get something like that, which was just a little air bubble, you want to make sure you pop it and then really kind of smooth it out with your hands. Now, if you do feel you need a little bit of help, go ahead and grab one of those fondant smoothers. There was a little bit of stretching here that I'm not super happy with. You can kind of see it, but I'm going to go and see ahead and see if I can't fix that with a fondant smoother. So just like we did with BB-8's head, we're not going to cut all the way to the edge. We're going to leave a little bit behind. There we go. So we're going to pick him up as carefully as we can, flip him over, and finish off that bottom edge. So see, I'm just folding that up, and I'm just holding it with my hands. Now, if you get like a big, it's hard to see, if you get like a big area right here where you have a big chunk, that's where those scissors come in handy. Just chop that right off. All right, and try to get him flipped back over as quick as possible. Now you got to go back and just repair a little bit of that damage that you just did. And I find if you put a little bit of cornstarch on that fondant, it'll help you smooth that right out. Once again, as I had mentioned earlier, you know, I don't live right in town, and this has to travel home to my little boy. So I'm going to be putting him on a stand. Now, I do have instructions for the stand if you'd like to build one of your own. It's pretty simple, but we want to make sure that it's got a hole that goes all the way through. I actually use a drill with a big drill bit on it, but you can use like an apple corer. We'll do the same thing. All right, so let's go ahead and get him on his stand, and we'll start getting all his detail work on. Okay, so basically it's just a base, and then it's footed, and then it has a flange with a piece of threaded PVC in it. Actually, I'm not sure if this is PVC. I'm not quite sure what this is. I'm not really familiar in the hardware store. I walk in, they usually know what I want, and they get it for me. And then my boss's wonderful husband cuts these beautiful boards for me. So I'm going to pick BB-8 up, and I'm just going to, sometimes if you're having a hard time getting it down on the stand, it just means you've got some cake or buttercream. If you go back with another piece of PVC, you can kind of use that to guide it on down. So once again, I did do a little damage to him while I was wrenching him on there. It happens. Oops. Just go back and clean it out up again. No big deal. Alright, so now what I'm doing is, just because I want to make sure he has a nice finished edge, is I'm taking another fondant smoother, and this one has like this rounded edge. And I'm just kind of pushing that fondant down to really cover that join with the board. And to smooth out any little problem spots you might have. Now, if you can't get it completely covered, like here my fondant's a little short, you don't need to worry about that. The planet that you first really meet BB-8 on is all covered with sand. And you can see that we've got some screws on the board where our feet are, and I will be showing you how we're going to cover all of that with sand.